empathizing so much. That's how I show up in marriage. You know what would be fun is if we said each other's. We can also say, like, what we have. You were so thrown off.
No, that's a good idea. I just wasn't prepared.
I know. I just sprung that. I don't have anything either.
So the next question and the final question is just, what are some of your friendship habits? I didn't have anything in mind with asking. It's just like, what are things you've noticed that you do in friendships? Or just something that happens in the way that you interact with people that's pretty common. Like, all friendships are individualized, but what are things that, like,
like baseline exists in all of your friendships. The first thing that I said was, if I'm laughing, I always hit the person next to me, like, not, like, I don't, like, slap anyone, but, like, I'll also, like, always, like, elbow them or, like, slap their thigh or something, and I really can't help it.
One that I put was that, like, I never delete photos. I've only ever, even after, like, a falling out, I have deleted photos of only one person ever after a falling out, but that's because
it was done.
But, like, I always want to be able to hold on to and cherish all the good memories that happen with it. And I also like being able to have any physical thing.
Memento,
to be able to reflect on where I was in life and who I was with and what was important to me. Or who was important to me. And I feel like deleting photos feels so, like, permanent, even though it's just, like, well, it is, but I don't want to erase the person from my memory. I want to cherish the time that we shared, learn from the lessons that they taught me, and, like, be able to relish in the relationship that once was.
Because the thing is, it's different. There's, like, a difference in between, like, a bad friendship falling out versus, like, anything else, like any other kind of relationship, because a friendship started out as what it is, a friendship, and then it could have morphed into whatever it morphed into, but there were some good times there. And so if you want to hold on to that, there's nothing wrong with that.
And I just get sad at the idea that, like, all love for a person gets lost. You cut ties with somebody and stuff for the relationship, and then there's just nothing positive to look back on or be grateful for, so you have to delete every, like, reminder of them or this, that, and the third, and that just genuinely just makes me feel really sad. And it seems like everything is, like, a waste.
The one I have going along with that is I never delete texts. I've deleted pictures before. Like, I always, like, if I have, like, 100 pictures from one day, like, I'll keep one, like, with, like, an ex-friend or whatever else, just so that, like, I can say I have it. But I, like, delete the rest. But I will never delete texts. I have texts going back probably to 2016. That I, like, they're not on my phone, they're on my laptop, they take up so much memory, and I will never let go of them. I still even have the verification codes from 5 years ago, just cause, like, and that is also a thing I keep in friendships, obviously, where I will just never delete a text, because it just always brings you back to that time, and you can always look back on it, and you're like, well, I was texting them on September 23rd at 6 p.m. that I was doing A-push homework, or whatever, you know what I mean, and, like, it was just a different time, and that's what I was doing then.
I don't have it written down, but one of my habits, like, I love scrolling through old messages between people, especially if we've been friends for years.
I did it, like, last week.
No, I did it yesterday. Especially if we've been friends for years, like, going back and just seeing, like, oh my god. Or seeing, like, the old TV. Like, just the simple shit.
It brings you, because you don't realize how much you've forgotten until you read those texts. But I especially like reading texts from people I don't talk to anymore. Not because anything went wrong, but because you don't.
Reading it.
And they were so fun. Like, I'm like, okay, I used to tell this person this thing. Like, who do I tell, like, that similar situation about to now? Like, or whatever. But it's so fun.
Or, like, seeing what was so serious back then. Reading old screenshots.
Ooh. You know when you're talking to a friend and you're, like, really in it, you've been talking for a while, and then they say something like, oh my god, can I tell you something mean? Always. There's a tweet out there, I will send it to you so you can put it on the video. It's literally just that, like, you can just be your authentic self, and if it's really mean...
Please paraphrase the tweet, I don't see it right now.
And, like, honestly, most of the time, that stuff is just not even mean, you're just kind of saying something that, like, might just be unpopular, but... Like, I will always be down to hear that. You don't even have to ask. I almost get annoyed when people ask. I'm like, obviously, please. But just the idea that you can kind of say anything to me, but especially the mean stuff, because I want to hear it.
I love the, this may be an unpopular opinion. I'm like...
No, literally. Like, my ears are this big right now. My last thing was, I like to... Food is, like, one of my biggest ways. You know.
Like, if I had to name one.
Yeah, exactly. Food is, like, I feel like the biggest way I show up in friendships. Either making it, or providing it, or sharing a meal, like, and being just that is, like, the activity. That is my go-to way to just exist in a friendship, like, around a meal, or around some kind of food. I mean, it can have its own, like, issues or whatever, but it's just kind of like the most basic way that I know how to like interact. And like, I mean, obviously it comes down to like my family and the way I grew up and how we like, you know, no matter if none of us had talked throughout the day, like we would get down to dinner, we would like talk, we would have a meal together, and that's just how I take care of people, and that's just how I show up in friendships.
I love it. Me eating the chips you just got. My last thing, unpopular opinion.
Please. I'm eating it up.
I'm just kidding. But I've talked about this in previous videos. Like, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear it. And so many people are like, you just are a creep fuck. But, like, I'm a very, like physical closeness and those kinds of things. When I was, even to this day, like, when people being confused on whether I'm dating my friends, ate that shit up. I still do to this day. Gotta be more careful. I think, like, being able to, like, be in a comfortable space where you don't have to think about someone's intentions being like romantic or making a pass on you. Like just being able to like hug your friends, hold their hands. Like I've cuddled so many of my friends and like those kinds of things. Sometimes like people would like feed into it in a really negative way. Platonic, we're just comfortable in ourselves and those kinds of things. But other times people are like, you can't do these kinds of things. You're doing X, Y, and Z. It's like hurting people. But I feel like putting boxes on certain levels of intimacy and what can and can't be platonic is very different, like culturally or person to person. Like there's so many different aspects to it. I'm not saying everyone should be out f***ing their friends, but if that's what you want,
I mean honestly, if that's what you want to do. But if it doesn't get messy for you,
I was gonna say there's more to that.
Yeah,
but, like as long as two people are like on the same page about it and understanding of like what it means in your friendship, how you show up, there doesn't have to be such clear distinctions, and just having the automatic assumption of some type of like sexual or romantic intent in every single interaction is just like stupid.
No, I agree. I think it can be so special to have like a physical bond with a friend, and like it has to be nothing more, nothing less. I do not partake. No. But no. I'm saying. I'm like. I don't partake, but
we've actually been holding toes this whole time. That's why
they're gripped.
I'm gonna have a small like side rant thing about this.
Yes.
But the main reason I started ever like noticing this about myself or picking it up was like when I would see posts that like ship real people that interact. Yeah. And it's like you see them holding hands. Even if it's like a kiss on the cheek.
Definitely did that shit.
Sometimes like the seriousness, the automatic, people saying everything's coded or everything's implied. I'm like, are you not allowed to just do this with your friends and allow it to be friends? Seeing that kind of things happen in like certain fandoms, being like, this means this, this means this. I'm like, what is... No offense, but I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
No, I do get it. But it was so common to take everything at like literal face value, but also just to like, everything had to have a sexual connotation, which is like, that's not
true.
Every person is not a freak. Can you like calm down? And even if they are, that doesn't mean if they're touching their friends, it has a sexual connotation. Yeah.
And that made me like super aware of it. Having male friends growing up, and if I like held their hand or like cuddled with them, it was like an assumption like, oh, so you like this person, so you do this. Like I remember having like friendship with couples and being like an affectionate friend. And, like, friends with both people, they're like, okay, don't do this. So then I would be like, okay, no, I'm sorry. Like, I obviously respect people's boundaries. I'm not an asshole. But I'm like, seeing how I would have to change how I interact in friendships and it forcing, like, an awkward level of something that never used to be there. And then I would almost always lose the friendship with one person from it. Yeah. Because they were uncomfortable, which is valid. Like, if you're uncomfortable, like, pointing it out makes
it
weird,
more
or makes it seem unnatural or uncomfortable when it's not necessarily that. The fact that it just keeps getting darker and darker because it's fucking 11 o'clock at night, basically. But that's going to conclude all the questions that we had. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that's going to be everything for the video. That's all the questions that we had planned out, and so everything we have for now. Maybe I'll start doing this and making it a series, talk to other friends. Maybe you'll never hear about this again. Who knows? We'll find out. Hope you enjoy. This shit is so embarrassing in front of people. Don't forget to like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Comment down below if you have something to say, or do none of that because you're not obligated to interact with the video. I'm just some random stranger, and I don't care about your opinion. Bless. Featuring bars.